Hello everyone, this is a response to Bruce Shepard, who, he sent me a video meant for somebody else originally, and he sent it on Facebook to me. I guess he wants me to answer the questions too, but it's an unlisted video, so I'm just going to play it and respond to it. Here we go.
Alright, this is a video I'm making for Jeff, a Rant with Jeff.
I don't know who a Rant with Jeff is.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
It's probably
First question is, as a non-believer, atheist, agnostic, what you might label yourself?
Atheist.
Do you believe that your opinion as a non-believer, as having, lack of belief in, or disbelief in God or gods, do you feel like that is by faith?
No. Actually, I try to make any informed decision that I make about my beliefs based on evidence, and whenever I recognize something in my life that I have been taking for granted without evidence, I try to find evidence for it, or reevaluate my beliefs on that.
The second question I have is, do you see the New Age Christianity, and even the recent past age of Christianity, do you see it as being something that is a twisted version of the original belief system that started when the Church Fathers started? Do you believe that it's been convoluted so much that people have created a superstitious ideology and created a false God concept, but don't realize it? And the third question...
Yeah, I believe that Christianity can get pretty twisted with all the different denominations that there are, and in particular, I do not like fundamentalist evangelicals. In the field of politics, I would say that whoever wins in the Republican primary, I don't want it to be Rick Perry, Rick Santorum, or Michelle Bachmann. Those are the types of Christians that I really, really don't like. And if I could just see those 3 eliminated from the field, I think that the world would be a lot better. But yeah, I think that all religions change with the times, and there's progressive thinkers in every camp, and there are people who become extremists or fundamentalists, or just mean people, yeah, and I see a lot of the differences between the Christian interpretation of the Torah versus the Jewish interpretation of it, even. That I just think that yes, the original version has been twisted. The answer is yes.
Is
third question.
Besides having some sort of evidence, do you think that you could become a believer again if you went to a root belief system that it didn't involve these types of New Age churches and the evangelical styles of teaching, and if it only involved teaching one another to be a good person towards one another and to care about each other. Personally, I think
I could get on board with a philosophy about caring for one another. In fact, I am a humanist of sorts, and have many humanist friends. But I think my caring for other people doesn't involve any sort of God concept. I think that you're convoluting the two things. Like, you're asking me, could I believe in God if all that God was caring for other people? No, the God concept also has a magical being. You know, I can separate caring for others, and my humanity. I can separate that from a concept of God and still, care for others quite well. I don't think that caring for others leads me to a belief in God. I don't even see the connection many times.
that's the way church should be, is to focus on doing what Christ and God expect of you, which is pretty much helping one another, helping the homeless, feeding the homeless, clothing the homeless, counseling people that have been, put in jail or in trouble in some way.
My job.
And visiting the sick in the hospital and tending to their needs and helping them too.
Also my
because
job.
To me, that's what I see judgment as, that separating the sheep from the goats. And I don't think it really has anything to do with what you believe. Because
if you don't think that separating the sheep from the goats has anything to do with what you believe, then why are you so concerned with what people believe? I think sometimes when you ask these questions, you have a certain tone for believe and then believe. Like, one of those tones includes God and one does not. Sometimes you use the same word and you don't ascribe the same meaning to it in that sentence as you did the previous sentence. But there's more to Jesus and God than just the hippie Jew socialist, and that's part of the baggage of all of those scriptures that are about Jesus. I can be down with the nice parts, but then the casting people into a lake of fire, or even having a judgment of people, I'm not following. I think a lot of people forget the fundamental values of forgiveness and redemption, and they go for other fundamental values. And the whole "judge not lest ye be judged." It's something that rings in people's ears as familiar, but then they don't practice it, and then they'll say that this is a Christian nation, and then they'll vote for legislation that labels people for the rest of their lives, be it whether they are a felon or whether they have a red card, which removes certain rights from them for the rest of their lives, or getting people labeled with a mental disability that affects their health care and future employments, and just all sorts of things that there's no forgiveness in the structure of what we call America today, and I don't think that this was a Christian nation to begin with, and I don't think it's very Christian in practice now. I think it's some perversion of money worship. Yeah.
Even Christians will be put on trial that day. So, do you think that you could ever actually become a believer in God based on not a traditional or a some sort of New Age cult, philosophy, reasoning, and stuff like that? Do you think you could ever become a believer in God just on faith alone? And I know those are really long questions, and sorry for you kind of caught me off guard when contacting me on Facebook. But anyway, there it is. Those are 3 questions. God bless you, man.
That was 4 questions. As far as becoming a believer in anything on faith alone, that's not something that I'm headed towards right now. I mean, my best methods for coming upon the truth do not involve accepting anything on faith. If I was shown that believing things based on faith was good for me and would actually produce some really good results in my life, then, I might look into it. I doubt it, because time and again, just about everything in my life is better when I make my decisions based on the available evidence at hand, rather than just blindly tackling my life's problems. So, yeah. Once a mind learns how to use critical thinking skills, it's very difficult to ignore the route to divining what is true and what is not. I'll use that word, divining. Sussing out, figuring out, whatever. Yeah. It would be like tying half my brain behind my back, and trying not to peek at the answer, because the answers would just, the evidence would, I think, jump out at me, the evidence for or against something, if I was trying to believe something based on faith. It's not something that you can just turn off once you start using it. It's these methodologies are things that aren't that hard to use, and once your brain starts really figuring things out by using critical thinking skills, it's not something that you desire to leave behind. I don't see what benefit I would have by, I don't know, having a lobotomy and losing all of my critical thinking skills and just thinking about something solely in terms of faith without something creeping in, some thought saying, hey, wait a second, you don't have a reason to believe this. Why are you believing? Yeah, even when I'm thinking about the slim 1 in a million chance of me ever believing in particular your God, no, I just don't think it'll happen. I just don't. Now you have said a couple times that I am a sheep and not a goat. In fact, you left a message on one of my videos saying, Michael, you're an awesome person with a good perspective of life. I can understand how hard it is to believe in such a God after all. that has been said and done in his name. I wish you and the rest that struggle finding some sort of belief structure could find a way to accept it if you can. No pressure. I believe on the day of judgment, God will understand what has happened and hold those responsible for creating a discourse in belief. That includes televangelists that bilked millions of dollars out of people and the militant atheist types. But the way you carry yourself in life and the extroverted perspective you carry for the concerns of others, between a goat and a sheep, you're a sheep. You're an offering to better things in life, not a glutinous taker. Thank you. And my response to that is that's about the only time I've ever been called a sheep, where I think it was in a good light. Yeah, so you put the fundamentalist evangelicals in the same camp as militant atheists, and I can see the parallel. I can, especially when I compare the thought processes of Bionic Dance to a fundamentalist Christian. I can see the war drums beating. Okay, but I think that there's more than just that creating the discourse and belief. I think half of that discourse is just the people who want you to believe the same things that they do. You know, because people just fear the unknown and they'd rather think that people have the same type of thoughts as them in their head. It's scary to think that somebody could come from a different perspective completely and catch you off guard. So, yeah, I'm not sure that my imaginative concept of God would be somebody who would cast people into a lake of fire just for raising questions. And that's the end of the video.